Last week, I asked my subscribers to do something brave. Send me their real financial numbers. Not the pretty version, not the Instagram version, but the messy, unfiltered truth. How many times have you been awake at 2 a.m. thinking, am I the only one who hasn't figured out this money stuff by now? As I was reading through your submissions, I couldn't help but get a little emotional. So many of you are being so hard on yourselves. So today, I'm breaking down 2 real submissions, and I'll show you exactly where they stand financially and what they should do next. It's time to break the silence and start normalizing talking about money. Let's figure this out together. Meet Sophia. She's 30 years old, an actor and a freelancer, and lives in Philadelphia. In her submission, she shares, I grew up in a family where the mindset was paycheck came in, let's go treat ourselves. Now, as an adult, I clearly spend over my means and the stress really weighs on me. I feel completely helpless. Whew, helpless. That word really stuck with me. So let's look at Sophia's actual numbers and see if that feeling matches reality. So looking at her net worth, she's got a little bit of savings, that's good, some stocks, bonds, and crypto, and ooh, look at that. 30 years old and owning a rental property? I see you, girl. And then over here on the credit card side, not too big of a balance. Some school loans, looks like she's paused payments on that, so we will get back to that. And another school loan, but from grandfather. With education being as expensive as it is in the States, having school loans is very, very normal, so really nothing surprising here. And then rental property back taxes. Okay, that could be a red flag. We'll have to dig into that, but flagging that for now. And then she's got a car loan from grandfather. Gotta love the grandparents, because my thought is maybe he'll say that you don't have to pay it back. So it looks like Sophia's got a lot of great things going for her. Definitely have some debts to take care of, but she has a good amount of assets as well. And if we really tally this up, her net worth totals up to $143,000. Now, I want to take a moment here because the median net worth for 30-year-olds in America is $8,000. So even though Sophia is saying she feels completely helpless, at a net worth of $143,000 at her age, she's actually not doing that bad. Like, girl, you're actually in the top percentile. But she shared that she feels helpless around her finances. So we're gonna dig into her budget to see where that feeling might be coming from. Okay, so if we look at her income, her monthly average take-home pay is $1,726. And then if we look at her expenses, Philadelphia, right? So rent around $700. All of these numbers look pretty normal. I like that her car payment is only $220. The average car payment in America is close to $800, and most people have a car payment. All right, so it looks like a good chunk of her cash flow is being eaten up by debt payments. Okay, and then wants are pretty minimal. A lot of business expenses here. We're gonna have to come back to that. Right away, what jumps out at me is that 99% of her take-home pay is going towards needs, leaving her with very little breathing room. So now we're starting to get a clearer picture. Despite Sophia's above average net worth, her day-to-day cash flow feels really squeezed because almost everything she makes is going towards just base survival, leaving her with pretty much no extra cash to go out to eat, go shopping, and just live life. And sure enough, looking at financial goals, there isn't any extra to go towards savings and investing. Sophia, here's what I need you to understand. Even though you feel helpless, you're not helpless. There's actually a lot you can do here, and they're actually quite simple fixes. The first thing that really jumps out at me, Sophia, and this is really common with freelancers and anyone who's self-employed, is that because you've got your business expenses mixed in here with your personal, that adds an added layer of complexity that makes it hard for you to understand what's really going on. So if you're watching and you're in a similar situation as Sophia, the first thing that I want you to do is to separate personal and business. I want you to open a business checking account, and any income you make from your business goes into that account, and any business expenses also get paid out of that account. And what this accomplishes is that you will have an actual sense of what your personal expenses look like. So you know what you need to survive, regardless of the business. From that place of clarity, then you can make business decisions and savings and investing decisions. Second thing I would love to see, and I think would really be very supportive for you, is to start creating a sense of consistency in your income. Again, this is a really common problem for freelancers where month to month, your income is very lumpy. Some months you might make 10,000, another month you make 0, and everything in between And no wonder it's hard to know what the heck is going on, right? So it's all sort of multi-layered. First, you've separated out business and personal. You've got a business checking account. Then I want you to get to a place where you can start paying a monthly salary to yourself. So you would do a monthly transfer from your biz to your personal checking every month. A common question is, how much should that monthly salary be? It should be enough to cover all of your necessities, your needs, as well as a few of your wants so that you can live, maybe not to go out and eat lobster every night, but your baseline budget just to keep the lights on, keep yourself fed, healthy, and well, and to enjoy life in a balanced way along the way. So for Sophia, she needs 17, 18 a month to just keep the lights on for the needs. And then eating out and shopping, if you don't count business expenses, then she's gonna need around $1,900 and change. So let's round it up to $2,000 a month just for her personal expenses. So Sophia, that is your number one goal. Hustle up some extra money, really tighten up that belt just for that temporary period until you can stockpile a good amount of cash in your business checking account. I say 2 to 3 months worth of your living expenses. And then once you've got some cushion in that, then start paying yourself that monthly salary. That will make your monthly budget so much more predictable. The last thing that I see here that could really make a difference, Sophia, is tackling this debt. Because at $542 a month of minimum debt payments, that's 30% of your monthly take-home income. So getting rid of the debt, or at least getting in control of it, is gonna go a long way in giving you a lot of breathing room. Here's how I would tackle the debt. The first thing to do is see if your grandfather will let you pause payments for a while and maybe even do it interest only because, hey, you're his granddaughter. If you're honest about your financial situation, I have a feeling he would be willing to help. So the ideal scenario would be all of your loans are paused except for the ones that are most urgent. Your credit card is the most urgent because it has the highest interest rate. And rental property back taxes are the second most urgent because if that goes unpaid for too long, the government might come and take your rental property and it becomes a whole mess. I would put as much of your money towards paying those off as soon as possible. See if the other loans will give you a forbearance or a deferment period. You'd be surprised at how willing lenders are to work with borrowers as long as you're in communication with them. And because one of your biggest lenders is your grandfather, I have a feeling that if you just have a simple conversation with him, it's gonna go really well for you. It's all about taking a deep breath and creating a plan. Another trick that I recommend is what I call a sprint. I talk about this in my best-selling money book, At a Zero, and this was a strategy that was key in helping me get out of $100,000 of debt in less than 4 years. So here's how to do a sprint. You're gonna mark out a 10-day period in your calendar. And for these 10 days, you are going to do everything you can to hustle up extra cash. That could be selling old cell phones in your house, that old blender or whatever, sell that on Facebook Marketplace, go dog sit or offer to babysit, mow lawns. Everyone has something in their back pocket that they can do to quickly hustle up cash. And in these 10 days, you also don't make any extra plans with friends that would cost money because you can do anything if it's only for 10 days. And the goal of this 10-day sprint is to get a quick shot of motivation to show yourself that you are capable of getting out of debt. That's gonna be a major pattern interrupt in that feeling of helplessness that you've been feeling. And then after that 10-day sprint is over, you can just go back to your regular pace and never do one again, or you can schedule another sprint. I am so excited for you, Sophia. You just need to get organized, create a plan, and know that you are in control. Next up, we have Allison. Allison is 31, lives in LA, and she is a budgeting analyst. She also shared that she took a $100,000 pay cut changing careers in order to prioritize her mental health. But now she feels financial anxiety. She's also navigating income disparity with her partner. All right, this is a juicy one, a perfect example of how money is never just about money. There's mental health, changing careers, relationships. There's a lot going on here. So it looks like our girl Allison has some good stuff going for her. She's got savings in a high yield savings account. Last time I checked, high yield savings accounts are paying around 4%, and that is way better than what you get in a regular savings account, which pays basically nothing. So I love that for you, Allison. Hey, at age 31, she's also got a good amount of investments. My feeling is before she took that pay cut, she was able to stash away a lot of money. So I'm already seeing signs of being really good at saving and being overall financially responsible. Here I see a credit card balance, but she did make a note that it's fully paid off every month. So not too worried about that. And so we are looking at, again, a pretty decent net worth of $205,000. But as we saw with Sophia's example, just because you've got assets and you look good on paper, it doesn't mean that your everyday experience of money is going to match that. So let's dig into Allison's income and expenses. Even after that $100,000 pay cut, Allison's making pretty good money. I love that there's interest income here. My guess is that's coming from the high yield savings account. So if you don't have a high yield savings account yet, let this be your sign to go open one, because that adds to your monthly passive income. This is a decent amount of income for a single person, even living in LA. Looking at her needs, as someone who also lives in LA, I know that paying $1,670 for rent is really damn good. $200 for groceries. Wow, I can barely keep my groceries under $500 a month. So whatever you're doing here is working, Allison. Overall, looks like the allocation of her budget that's going towards needs, in other words, survival and necessities, is around 54%, which is actually quite good because that leaves a whole nother 50% of cash flow free towards enjoying life today and also saving for tomorrow. And then if we look at her wants budget, nothing crazy jumps out at me. I love that she has a travel sinking fund. This is something that I want everyone to start doing. Because hey, we all love to travel here, right? Even if you don't have a trip planned right now, but you know at some point you're gonna wanna take a trip. So it makes sense to put aside 150 something aside for travel so that by the time your friend invites you to Hawaii or whatever, you've already got some cash that you've been setting aside every month. So you're not starting from zero or having to put it all on your credit card. So I love that Allison has a line item, but it seems like as of now, she's not putting anything towards it. I would like to see a little something in there. Let's see what else is going on here. Right away, I did notice she's only spending $3 on a gym. So girl, $200 on groceries and $3 on gym. Like, let me know what you're doing there because I also live in LA and haven't managed to get my expenses that low. So help a girl out here. I love that you found a way to work out at a gym in a really cost-effective way. Personal care, personal development, those are the highest line items in the budget. It looks like most of Allison's discretionary spending is going there. I would like to see some of that money going towards your travel sinking fund because at some point you're gonna wanna go on a trip, right? And you don't wanna put that on your credit card. So I feel like there's some reallocation of monies that could happen among your wants. Let's move on to financial goals. Okay, this is impressive. Putting away $1,553 towards investing. First of all, that's a huge portion of your take-home income. That is, if I did the math correctly, over 30%. But then if I add up the percentages, something's not adding up. Because if you add up what she's putting towards financial goals, everything she's spending on wants, as well as needs, that adds up to $5,592. Whereas her take-home pay was only $4,330. Now, this is gonna happen to a lot of you. The first time you ever sit down to look at all the money that's coming in and all the money that's going out, you might find that you have been spending more than you earn. And this is very easy to do when you put things on a credit card and you just pay the balance when the bill is due, but it's not money that you had in your account when you swipe the card. So you're always playing a little bit of a catch-up game, spending a little more than you earn. Then when you get paid, you pay that off. So you're always kind of playing catch-up instead of playing offense. Okay, Allison, when I look at your budget, what I see is someone who is extremely responsible and actually quite good with money. You know how to invest in yourself. You know how to invest in your future, stay out of debt. You're doing all the right things. I'm getting the sense that after you took that pay cut to prioritize your mental health, because you're such a go-getter, your budget hasn't adjusted to that new paycheck. Because given where you're at in life, investing $1,500 a month is amazing, but it's also not necessary. We need to live in balance. And because your net worth is way beyond what most people your age are at already, I want to give you permission to relax and even pare back down that investing and saving and put that money towards some of the things that would really fill up your cup and get your mental health back to where it used to be. Now, in my book, At a Zero, I recommend one of 3 budget allocations. I think for where you're at in life, going with the balanced builder allocation, where you're putting 20% towards financial goals, is more than enough for you. Maybe cut a little bit in the personal development or personal care space to get your expenses down to equal what you are bringing in. That way you're not spending more than you earn. You also shared in regards to the income disparity in your relationship that you feel like you're carrying a lot of the weight and that you worry that you're being too easy on him. Allison, as someone who's also in a relationship where there's an income disparity, I can totally empathize. It's beautiful to create a relationship and share financial responsibilities, but something that really stood out to me when you shared that is, where are your needs in the equation? In fact, Allison, do you happen to be the oldest child in your family? Because that's me, and it just sounded like classic eldest child over-functioning behavior. Maybe it's the same thing with you, but what it comes down to is successful relationships require good boundaries, because nothing kills love and relationships faster than resentment, because you've overextended yourself beyond your boundaries. So whatever the situation is with your boyfriend, I'm sure there's so much love there. As long as both of you are really, really clear with each other about what your financial boundaries are, about what feels good for you to give and receive, and you can meet each other there, I'm confident any income disparity or any differences can always be worked out. What I find interesting about Sophia and Allison is they both shared similar feelings of being helpless, anxious, but they were actually doing okay when I dug into their numbers. No financial situation is ever too scary or too impossible to turn around, but it all starts with getting clear on your numbers. So if you're ready to do that, download my financial freedom cheat sheet. It's got a budgeting template, a net worth tracker, a checklist, and everything you need to get organized with your finances. It's completely free, link is in the description, or you can scan this QR code. And now I want to hear from you. What were your biggest takeaways from Sophia and Allison's situation? Did you see yourself in either of their stories? And if you want your finances reviewed in the next video, then the link to submit is also below in the description. Until then, never stop believing in yourself and keep going after the life that you want. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.